Why didn't Bush and Clinton want to capture Osama bin Laden? Because Bush and Clinton are proven business partners at one time with Osama bin Laden, the Bin Laden and Saudi crime families. Why do people believe thus, because of that fact and because of the whitewash of the 9/11 Commission, that Bush was somehow responsible for 9/11, by actually pulling down the buildings, right? I believe that the Bin Ladens did 9/11, but the reason why there was a cover up is because of the way the Bin Ladens did 9/11. I believe that they got access to those buildings as there was much as the Saudis and Bin Ladens have experienced building and demolishing buildings. I mean, they're building a skyscraper in Saudi Arabia that will rival Western skyscrapers, and they've demolished buildings of almost the same size as the Twin Towers. I believe that they got crews of people into the Twin Towers and brought them down. I believe it's even possible that a missile could have been used by Al Qaeda to attack the Pentagon. They also used hijackers to do this. But I do not believe that the Bin Ladens could have done this on their own. The Bin Ladens are billionaires. They do have $20 billion in revenue, as I said, and probably much more than that in their oil, banking and construction companies. Their main focus is construction. See the element of being able to do controlled demolition, right? How would they have gained access to those buildings? They would have done it through a corridor of fear tactic. That is, threatening people's families until they got through to the guards and were able to gain access. People said that there was a thin veneer of dust on the levels where most of the buildings of the Twin Towers was left exposed, and they could have got into the central core. Why do I not believe that the reason? What is the reason that I believe the American government wouldn't have done 9/11? It's not that they aren't evil people in the American government, but the idea that the Americans would attack themselves is not necessarily preposterous because of the use of false flag operations in the past, such as Gladio in Italy, where the Italian mafia infiltrated NATO and used fascist and left-wing groups to plant bombs against the Italian mafia's enemies, including which they used a group to kidnap Prime Minister Andreotti and execute him. So the mafia took out a Prime Minister of Italy. So the false flag has been used many times before, and it's been used against Mossadegh in Iran to unseat him when BP and the CIA got together to get rid of the Mossadegh democratically elected regime. Okay? This brings me to the point, because Al Qaeda is much more powerful than, and in 2001 was much more powerful than the Bush regime or the Clintons family, right? Do the Clintons and the Bushes have the reach or the ability to bring down those buildings? No, they do not. So that the 9/11 conspiracy theories concerning a non-Bin Laden conspiracy, because there was a conspiracy on 9/11, but it was the Bin Ladens and the Saudis who did 9/11, is to me bullshit. Alright? I don't want to use that language, but it's bullshit. Alright? The people who are behind the 9/11 truth movement are being backed up by oil companies such as Exxon and Haliburton. Alright? Why, when I do videos about Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden and the Saudi royal family, would I be frightened to say that? I wouldn't be frightened to say it, and I've just said it. Alex Jones, for instance, works for Exxon. Okay? I can't provide you with proof of that, but all I can say is that I know it for a fact. because I have sources, everyone has sources. His whole organisation is set up as a trap to taint any opposition to what Exxon wants. For instance, Exxon and Haliburton wanted the Iraq War. They lobbied for it, along with Merrill Lynch, who gave Tony Blair a contract after the Gulf War was done. And Goldman Sachs, same thing. So Haliburton and Exxon are one company. Why do they want people to believe that 9/11 was a conspiracy caused by the American government? They want people to believe it because they want to decapitate the American government. It's a decapitation strategy. If the American government was proven to have done 9/11, don't you think that there would be military trials, treason trials, and this would bring down the American government? This whole business about 9/11 being a whitewash, yes, the 9/11 Commission was a whitewash. Why? Because every single commissioner on that commission had a reason to be there. They had someone backing them up to ask specific questions and to ignore the ones that led back to the failures to catch Bin Laden and the Saudi royal family in the act. You have to see the relative positions of the Bush and Clinton families against the Saudi and Bin Laden families. The Bushes and the Clintons are in a weak position in terms of feudalistic crime families. The United States may be an incredibly powerful state. The CIA, which is often said by even Robert Bayer, who is a former CIA agent, that as a criminal organisation, but in Michael Schuerer's view, it is actually has good oversight, and I believe that the CIA is actually, in many ways, a thin veneer between tyranny and, not a thin veneer, a guardian between keeping American democracy or tyranny from feudalistic crime families. The CIA is perhaps the only organisation in the United States that can resist feudalistic crime families such as the Saudis, Bin Ladens and others, which I won't mention. But the people who run Exxon and other companies, like oil companies like that, why do they want to take on BP? Why do they want to take on the other oil companies? Because they want to get rid of their competition. They believe that through decapitating the American government and using that power, they will get their own man into the US government to be president, as they backed before. Perhaps Obama is being backed up by his former chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, who was got rid of by. He's also got connections to Exxon. Rahm Emanuel, for instance, has a connection to the Israeli Abigail crime family and Exxon. So this is possibly why Obama was chosen to be president. Why so much power is put behind him. And there's often talked about that the Rothschilds and Rockefellers are somehow behind 9/11, but these people are just business people. They're not feudalistic crime families. The Saudis and Bin Ladens are. They have more reach, and the relative position to the Bushes and Clintons is that the Bushes and Clintons need the Saudi and Bin Laden crime family contracts. They need the oil. They need the oil to keep the American people in food and fuel to keep America running, to make sure that they have a good presidency. That's the real factor in this. So what did Bush do? He had a beef with Saddam Hussein because Saddam Hussein tried to kill George Bush Sr. in an assassination attempt. Clinton responded by bombing Iraq during his term in office. Then George Bush Jr., as soon as he got in, what did he do? He went and got his groups of people together and went into Iraq.